You know the feeling, right? You order something online and you become obsessed with that tracking page, just watching that little dot creep across the country. But have you ever really thought about what happens when you tweet about that experience, good or bad? Well, it turns out someone, or more accurately, something, is listening very, very closely.
So, today we're going to unpack a really cool case study that shows exactly how AI is learning to understand our feelings about something as everyday as getting a package. We'll start with why we're all getting so many packages, then look at how companies listen in on social media. After that, we'll dive into the tech that decodes our emotions, see which AI model did it best, and wrap up with why any of this actually matters to you.
All right, first things first, let's set the scene. I mean, it really feels like we're living in the age of the cardboard box, doesn't it? Our doorbells are just constantly ringing with new stuff. And this is a global thing. Take a look at a place like Saudi Arabia. The explosion in internet access and smartphones there has led to a massive boom in e-commerce. This isn't just some small trend, it's a complete shift in how people buy things. And for every single person that clicks buy, that's one more package that a courier service has to handle, making them this absolutely critical backbone of the whole modern economy. Okay, so if there are millions and millions of packages flying around, how in the world can a company possibly know what all of their customers are thinking and feeling at any given moment? Well, the answer, it turns out, is hiding in plain sight, in our digital town square. Social media is basically this incredible, nonstop fire hose of public opinion. People share everything. Their joy when a package arrives early, their total frustration when it's late. It's all out there in the open. For businesses, this is an unfiltered goldmine of feedback. That is, if they know how to tap into it. And that's exactly what these researchers did. They jumped onto X, what used to be Twitter, and they basically vacuumed up over 45,000 tweets from 100 key accounts in Saudi Arabia. Now, from that huge digital pile, they carefully sifted through and hand-labeled almost 6,500 tweets that were specifically about courier services. That became their core dataset. Now we get to the really fascinating part. How do you teach a machine to read thousands of tweets and actually understand the human emotion behind them? Well, it all comes down to this amazing field called sentiment analysis. So, what is sentiment analysis? Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is that you're teaching a computer to read the vibe of a sentence. It uses some pretty complex language processing to figure out if what you wrote is positive, negative, or just neutral. It's way beyond just looking for keywords like happy or sad. It's trying to grasp the actual feeling. But here's the thing. You can't just feed raw tweets to an AI. They're a mess, right? They're full of hashtags, links, weird punctuation, so the data needs a serious cleanup. The researchers had to strip out all that junk, convert everything to lowercase for consistency, get rid of common filler words like the or and that don't carry any emotion, and, of course, delete any duplicate tweets. Only after all that scrubbing is the data actually ready for the AI to analyze. The researchers then set up a little competition between two different types of AI. The first one is called the decision tree. This one's pretty easy to get your head around. It works just like a flowchart. It's basically playing a game of 20 questions with the data. It asks a series of simple yes or no questions like, does this tweet contain the word amazing, or does it contain the word late? And based on the answers, it follows a path down different branches until it lands on a final answer, positive or negative. The second model is a support vector machine, or SVM for short. This one thinks a bit more, geometrically. Imagine you plotted every single tweet on a giant graph, with all the positive ones in one area and all the negative ones in another. The SVM's only job is to draw the sharpest, most perfect line it possibly can to divide those two groups, creating the biggest possible empty space, or margin, between them. It's all about finding that ultimate dividing line. So this brings us to a really classic trade-off you see all the time in AI. On one hand, you have the decision tree. It's fantastic because it's transparent. You can literally trace its steps to see how it made a decision. On the other hand, you have the SVM, which is often an accuracy powerhouse, but its reasoning is a total black box. It gives you an incredibly accurate answer, but good luck figuring out exactly how it got there. All right, so we have our two contenders, the transparent, easy-to-understand flowchart versus the powerful, mysterious black box. After all that data cleaning and training, which one was actually better at reading the public's mind? But hang on. Before we reveal the winner, what was the overall vibe from the tweets? You might be surprised. It was overwhelmingly positive. Over 80% of the tweets analyzed expressed a favorable sentiment. So yeah, while we all see those angry tweets now and then, the bigger picture, at least in this data set, was one of general satisfaction. Okay, now for the main event, the head-to-head showdown. Remember, they used 80% of the data to train the models, and then they unleashed them on the remaining 20% to see how accurately they could classify the sentiment. So how did they do? And the winner is the decision tree model. It achieved a stunningly high accuracy of 95.01%. Just think about that. It correctly identified the sentiment in a tweet 95 times out of 100. That's incredible. The powerhouse SVM was hot on its heels with a fantastic score of 93.60%. So still very, very accurate. But the big story here is that the simpler, more transparent model actually came out on top. In this specific case, being easy to understand didn't mean it was less effective. It was actually more effective. Okay, a 95% accuracy score is a super impressive number for a lab report. But what does it actually mean in the real world? This is where it all comes together, where we see how this kind of tech goes from just analyzing tweets to making a real business impact. Will it mean that the next time you fire off a tweet about a delayed package, there's a 95% chance an AI somewhere knows exactly how you feel about it? For a company, this is a total game changer. They can spot problems instantly, maybe see that a bunch of negative tweets are coming from one specific city, and address it in near real time. It's about shifting from guessing what customers want to actually listening at a massive scale, and then using that data to make their service better for all of us. And you've got to realize this goes so far beyond just courier services. You can use this exact same approach to analyze how people feel about, well, anything. A new movie, a political announcement, a new phone that just launched, the food at a restaurant chain, you name it. It is a profoundly powerful tool for taking the chaotic noise of millions of individual voices online and weaving it into a single coherent story that you can actually understand. And that kind of leaves us with a pretty big, thought-provoking idea. We started this whole journey talking about something as simple as waiting for a package. But we've ended up with an AI that can read human emotion from just a short bit of text with over 95% accuracy. As this technology gets even better, even more refined and widespread, the really interesting question becomes, what's it going to understand about us next?